My more serious advice on how to get the most out of watching golf content is Tuesday you watch a YouTube video on how to fix your slice, and then Wednesday you see an Instagram reel on how to hit your long irons higher. Thursday you see a TikTok on how to hit those little low nippy chip shots, you know, the ones that spin back a little bit. Aren't those cool? Friday your friend sends you an article on how to make every single putt inside of 6 feet using the claw. So you roll up Saturday morning with all these fun tips and tricks that you've learned throughout the week, but you practiced none of them, which means that you shoot the same score, maybe even a little bit worse. And if you're like me, you head home and decide to fire up YouTube again and run it back. Honestly, watching YouTube tips or Instagram or TikTok or wherever you get your content can be one of the least productive things in your pursuit of shooting lower scores. I know that's a really weird thing to say on a YouTube channel that's all about golf improvement, but let me explain what I mean. In 2018, researchers at the University of Chicago published a study on what they call the illusion of skill acquisition. Here's exactly what they found. People who watched someone else perform a skill repeatedly believed they could perform that skill themselves. They felt more confident in their abilities without ever actually testing them. And then when they went to do that task, they performed no better than people who had watched no videos at all. You might be thinking, well, Isaac, if it didn't actively hurt, then it can't do anything but help, right? Well, if your confidence level is up here and your abilities are down here, and by doing nothing, just watching videos, your confidence raises and raises and raises, now the sport you're doing or the activity you're doing becomes significantly less enjoyable. And you didn't do anything to deserve that, really. You're setting yourself up for emotional failure. You're raising the bar without ever extending the ladder. If you're kind of tracking with where we're going, you probably want to know exactly what I'm going to prescribe, and I'll just tell you now. I've got a free 59-minute practice program that's going to give you kind of an example of what it means to do random, structured practice. I've fallen into this trap too. I mean, I worked in golf for a decade, and part of working in golf is you slowly become more and more and more obsessed. And that's not a bad thing. But this study clearly shows that your brain can't really distinguish between you actually getting better at something and somebody else just doing it. Honestly, most of the tips online are fine. They're not wrong. They're not evil. They're just not prescribed correctly, and you're not going and doing them consistently. The best players in the world do the exact same thing over and over and over and over and over again, and they were prescribed those things by experts. Whereas most of us amateur golfers take something we saw on Instagram that looks flashy and we try it for one range session or maybe just a few balls and then dismiss it for the rest of the time. So we're taking a medicine that we weren't prescribed and we're only taking it for like 2 days and then saying that it was worthless. A lot of these tips are created generically with no real wiggle room for masses, whereas your swing is not generic. So when you see a swing drill, it's probably not actually pointed at the problems that you have. This is why all the short form stuff that I do is focused on principles and then how we apply those principles. And any drill that I post online is focused on being able to be flexible around your skill level. Now, this is a little bit weird because I'm making a golf tip video on how to not watch golf tips. I'll be very upfront with you. My primary goal is to give every single golfer the ability to get better with the time and the tools they have. I'm not going to ask you to do something you can't do, and I'm not going to prescribe something on a swing basis. And even then, I'm not saying to never watch another golf video again or stop scrolling Instagram completely, but I do think you need a filter. So I'll give you a couple of questions that'll help your brain kind of organize what this content actually means for you. Does this video directly apply to a specific part of my game that is costing me shots? Now, naturally, this leads to the question of, well, how do I know what's costing me shots? And once again, guess who's got a PDF for that? Down below. Simple stat tracker, go get it. So in the off case that it does directly apply, stick with it for months, because the golfers who stay stuck at 85, 95, 105, go back, watch a tip, try it for 2 balls, go back, watch a tip, try it for 2 balls. Stick with whatever you're working on for an extended period of time with intent, because hoping a bunch of random one-off tips are going to be the secret to your success is not a strategy. Now, like I said, I fall into this all the time, but what I found is if I'm going to go watch a golf YouTube video or something like that, I'm probably not going to sit down and just consume it. I'm going to maybe roll some putts while I'm doing it or work on something. So it's semi on in the background. Like there's a very real chance you're watching this and working right now. In which case, appreciate the view. My more serious advice on how to get the most out of watching golf content is to know where you're losing shots. And like I said, you can download that free stat tracker down below. It doesn't get into like strokes gained and all that, but it gives you a very high level of your off the tee approach, chipping, and putting. But it gives you a nice high level view of how you're hitting it off the tee, approach, chipping, and putting. Then you can filter content through that lens. And then if you've got questions about how to build a practice plan, I'm coming out with a video with that very soon, and an app. And if you want to see if I stick to my own advice, you can watch that video right here.